I stared at the confirmation screen on my phone. $5,000 sent. It was the final tuition payment for my sister, Emily. The last installment of a $34,000 debt I never agreed to, but somehow inherited anyway. For 3 years, that number had been a noose around my neck, tightening every semester. Now the balance was zero. I didn't feel happy. I felt light. The kind of light you feel when you finally drop a pack after hiking miles in the wrong direction. I pulled into the driveway of my mother Diane's townhouse in an upscale gated community outside Raleigh, North Carolina, the kind of place with manicured hedges and silent judgment. I paid the HOA fees for the privilege of peace. Maybe a thank you, maybe just silence. Instead, the front door was wide open. Black trash bags lined the hallway like body bags. My clothes, my books, my life, stuffed into plastic and discarded. I walked inside. My mother was in the living room directing her boyfriend, Mark, as he dismantled my bookshelf. Mark didn't look up, just kept unscrewing bolts, humming like this was any other afternoon. "What is this?" I asked, my voice calm, too calm. Diane turned, holding a glass of red wine, the expensive bottle I'd bought her last week for her birthday. She smiled, but it wasn't warm. It was a smile of a landlord evicting a tenant who'd outlived their usefulness. "Oh good, you're here," she said, swirling the wine. "Mark needs this room for his home gym. You don't need it anymore, right?" I blinked. "I live here." "Not anymore," she said lightly. "Emily's tuition is paid. Your job is done. Get out." The transaction was complete. I had served my purpose. "You can't be serious," I said. "I paid rent this morning." "Consider it a parting gift," she laughed. "Now go, you're cluttering the place." I stepped forward. "I'm not leaving until you explain why you're throwing me out the second the check cleared." Her smile vanished. Her eyes went cold, predatory. "Get out," she said. Then she lunged. Her arm snapped forward and the wine glass left her hand. It shattered against my cheekbone. Red wine exploded across my white shirt like blood. A shard sliced the skin under my eye. The sting was sharp and immediate. My pulse didn't spike. Panic is for the unexpected. This was just the final shipment arriving at the wrong dock. I touched my cheek, saw blood on my fingers, and felt something inside me realign. Not break, shift. Mark laughed from the floor. "Better listen to your mom, Sarah," he said. "She's got a mean arm." I looked at them, really looked. The woman who gave birth to me, and the man replacing my furniture with weights. They weren't family. They were parasites who just realized the host was waking up. "Okay," I said. I turned and walked out. The door slammed behind me, the sound echoing down the sterile hallway like a gunshot. I didn't stop. I went straight to my car, the same dented sedan I'd driven since college because every spare dollar went into that house. I locked the doors and sat there shaking, not with fear, but adrenaline. I flipped down the mirror. The cut was thin, but swelling. I stared at my reflection. This was it, the moment I'd been preparing for since I was 16. I reached into the glove box and pulled out a waterproof pouch. Passport, birth certificate, a thumb drive with scanned tax returns. I hadn't packed clothes, but I had my identity. The smell of wine clung to my shirt, sour and heavy. I looked up at the townhouse windows, lights glowing. I imagined Diane pouring another glass, Mark testing dumbbells he didn't pay for. They were probably laughing, talking paint colors. They thought this was just another fight, another Tuesday where I'd drive around and come back to apologize because that's what I always did. That's what I was trained to do. I remembered reading about object constancy in a college psych class, the ability to understand someone still has value even when they're not serving you. Narcissists don't have it. People are appliances. You don't love a toaster, you love toast. When the toast is done, the toaster goes in the trash. I was the toaster. Emily's tuition was paid. My phone buzzed. "Diane, you're being dramatic. Come back and clean the mess you made on the carpet." No apology, no concern, just an order. Blocking her would be a reaction. I chose inaction. I set the phone down. For years, I believed if I paid enough, sacrificed enough, I'd earn my place. I thought I was buying love. I was just paying rent on space that was never mine. The lease was up. I started the car. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I wasn't going back. Not tonight. Not ever. I drove for nearly an hour with no destination. The gated community faded behind me, replaced by long stretches of highway and dark pine-lined roads. I pulled into the parking lot of a 24-hour diner off the interstate, killed the engine, and leaned my head back against the seat. $34,000. I said it out loud, testing the weight of it. $34,000. More than my car, more than a down payment on a small house in this state. 3 years of skipped vacations, packed lunches, overtime shifts, and saying no to myself so someone else could say yes. Why did I do it? Why did I keep paying, even when Diane forgot my birthday 2 years in a row, even when she criticized my job, my clothes, my lack of a real man like Mark? Because I was buying safety. I closed my eyes and remembered being 12, handing her a report card with straight A's. She barely looked at it. "At least you're good for something," she said. That was the contract, signed in childhood ink. Be useful and you get to stay. Be profitable and you get a seat at the table. Stop paying and you disappear. It's called fawning. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. When you can't fight because she's your mother, and you can't flee because you're a child, you fawn. You become pleasing, indispensable. You pay tuition so she smiles. You pay utilities so she doesn't scream. You build your own cage and thank her for the lock. But the lock was broken now. The glass had shattered it. I touched the bandage I'd wrapped in the car mirror. It throbbed. Good. I needed to remember. My phone lit up again, not from Diane, but from my banking app. Auto pay scheduled for next month's utilities. I opened it. My thumb hovered. The old panic flared. If I cancel, she'll explode. Then I remembered the wine glass flying toward my face. I tapped cancel. HOA fee. Cancel. Car insurance for her Lexus. Cancel. Streaming services mark used. Cancel. I kept going. I removed her from my Netflix, changed my Amazon password. Every invisible tether I'd used to keep myself attached, I severed, one by one. It wasn't revenge. It was amputation. I put the phone down. The silence felt different now. Not empty. Spacious. I wasn't going to a hotel. Hotels are temporary. I wasn't traveling. I was escaping. I merged onto the interstate heading west. I knew where I was going. I hadn't been there in almost 10 years, not since the divorce, but my hands remembered the way. It was the only place that never felt like a transaction. Miller Creek Farm. I was 20 miles outside the city when my phone buzzed again. I braced myself, but it wasn't Diane. It was my sister, Emily. My stomach tightened. The golden child. The reason my savings were gone. I expected anger. Instead, it was a photo. Shattered glass on the living room floor, wine soaking into the carpet, Diane's foot frozen in the frame. Under it, a message. I saw what she did. "I'm so sorry, Sarah." I called Dad. I stared at the screen. Dad. Thomas. The man Diane had painted as a deadbeat for a decade. According to her, he walked out and disappeared. I hadn't spoken to him since I was 16 because every time I tried, she cried about being abandoned. Why would Emily call him? What could he do? He was broke. Useless. That was the story. Before I could reply, my phone rang. Dad. I hesitated. Answering him felt like betrayal. But my cheek throbbed, reminding me what loyalty had earned me. I answered. Sarah. His voice was rough. Are you okay? Emily said she hurt you. I'm fine, I said. I'm leaving. Where are you going? I don't know. A hotel? No, he said firmly. No hotels. Come home. Come to the farm. Dad, I can't. I need to figure things out. Mom just kicked me out. I know, he said. Emily told me everything. He paused, breath hitching. Sarah, why were you paying her tuition? Because you weren't, I snapped. Because someone had to. She said you stopped sending money. Silence. Heavy. Then, what? I have sent a check for $1,500 every month for 10 years, he said quietly. Tuition, birthdays, Christmas. I never saw it, I whispered. I know. She returned my letters, said you didn't want to talk, said she was saving it for you. The world tilted. Financial infidelity. Control through money.
Diane hadn't just stolen cash. She stole my father. "Come home," he said. "I have the records." I looked at the dark road ahead. "I'm coming," I said, and pressed the accelerator. I reached the farm just before midnight. The gravel road curved through open land, the air heavy with the smell of wet soil and pine. The farmhouse lights were on, bright and steady, nothing like the sterile glow of my mother's townhouse. I barely had time to park before the front door opened and Thomas was there, older than I remembered, grayer but solid. He wrapped his arms around me without asking. "I've got you," he said quietly. "You're safe." I let myself stay there for a moment, then pulled back. I didn't want comfort. I wanted truth. "Show me the records," I said. We sat at his kitchen table, scarred wood covered in papers, bank statements, canceled checks, notes. I went through them with cold focus, line after line. $1,500 a month, extra for tuition, extra for holidays. 10 years, over $200,000. "She double charged us," I said flatly. "Took your money and mine for the same bills." Thomas put his head in his hands. "I should have known. I should have fought harder. This isn't bad parenting," I said. "This is fraud. We need a lawyer." By morning, we were in a small office in town, sitting across from a sharp-eyed attorney who didn't interrupt once. When I slid the spreadsheet across his desk, he exhaled slowly. "This is serious," he said. "Fraud, conversion of funds, potential criminal exposure." "I don't care about revenge," Thomas said. "I want my daughter's money back." "We'll move fast," the lawyer said. "If she senses this, she'll hide assets." "She won't," I said. "She thinks I'm broken." By afternoon, the paperwork was ready. Demand letters, filings, asset freeze requests. Not emotional, procedural. Back at the farm, I spent the evening in the greenhouse, hands in dirt, doing work that actually created something. At sunset, dust rose at the edge of the road. A black Lexus came flying in too fast. "She's here," I said. Thomas stepped forward. "Stay behind me." "No," I said. I walked out to the driveway as Diane got out, heels sinking into the dirt, Mark trailing behind her. "You ungrateful little brat! You canceled everything. Turn it back on or I'll call the police and say you stole from me." It used to scare me. Now it sounded empty. "You're trespassing," I said, "and you're about to be served." Thomas spoke then, low and steady. She froze, finally looked at him. I held out the envelope. Fraud, embezzlement, 10 years of stolen checks. She laughed too loudly, said she deserved it for raising us. Mark stepped back, realizing too late what he'd walked into. Emily appeared on the porch, quiet, resolute. "I saw what you did, Mom. We're done." Diane looked at us, isolated, her story collapsing. Mark left without a word. She drove off alone. The fallout came fast. Assets frozen, lawyers backing away, a settlement, the townhouse sold, the lifestyle gone. I didn't visit. Emily didn't either. Now my life is here. I bought a small fixer-upper down the road. The floors creak, the paint peels, but the deed is mine. Yesterday, I planted an oak in the yard. Thomas helped dig the hole. "Bad soil kills roots," he said. "I know," I said. "I'm changing the soil." I pressed the dirt down and stood back. I didn't just buy my freedom, I bought my name back. I'm Sarah, and I'm finally where I belong. Most people scroll past stories like this. The ones who subscribe are the ones trying to change something inside themselves. If this made you stop scrolling, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it.